Oh, I'm sorry, Kelly, go ahead. All right. I'd like to call the Thursday, November 5, 2020 meeting of the University Heights Planning Commission to order. Mrs. Thomas, will you please call the roll?
Mayor Brennan. I didn't hear you. Mayor Brennan, are you present?
I am present, yes.
Mrs. Urban? Mr. Simborski? Mr. Fine?
Hello.
Mr. Rock?
Present.
Okay, is there a motion to excuse Ms. Urban, and Mr. Simborski?
Sure, I'll make the motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Michael. Motion by Mr. Fine, second by Mr. Rock. Mrs. Thomas, will you call the roll?
Mayor Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. Fine?
Yes.
Mr. Rock?
Yes.
Okay, they are excused. First item is the approval of minutes. We have a set of minutes from the August 6, 2020 meeting. Are there any changes, additions? Okay. If there are none, is there a motion to adopt the minutes of August 6, 2020?
Mayor, I was not present at that meeting,
fine.
so I would normally vote pass on these minutes, but from what I understand, I can vote on the minutes, but I just don't feel comfortable voting on the minutes since I wasn't present.
Oh, that's fine. Looks like Ms. Urban's joining the call anyway. So, Mrs. Urban. Ms.
Okay.
Urban.
Hello.
Hi, welcome. We were just about, we've gone to order and we've just about, we are on the point where we're going to approve the minutes from August 6, 2020. You were present at that meeting. Do you have any additions, changes to those minutes?
No.
Okay, very good. I'll move to adopt the minutes from August 6, 2020. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Fine. Any discussion? Seeing none, Mrs. Thomas, we call the roll.
Mayor Brennan?
Yes.
Mrs. Urban?
Yes.
Mr. Fine?
Yes.
Mr. Rock?
Pass.
Very good. That brings us to the agenda items. First is item A, recommendation to City Council for the demolition of house located at 4499 Groveland, parcel number 721-14-007/08. Who do we have for the applicant?
Domus Construction, we
Domus
represent. Yes, this is Vadim Shulman.
And Vladimir Graysuk.
And well, I'm sorry, what was your name?
Vladimir Graysuk.
Graysick?
Right, correct.
Thank you, Mr. Graysick. Okay. Would you please proceed, Ben, with your request?
Okay, so we are here. Good evening, everyone, first. And we're here to request your approval for the projects that we have in plans for 4499 Groveland Road. That project basically can two-stage the demolition of existing house and the following by the lot split, and plan to build two houses on this lot.
Okay. Okay, very good. We do have a letter from Mr. Cheney. He has reviewed the preliminary plan for a combination and lot split of 4499 Groveland Road submitted by Domus Construction. He has no issue with the proposed concept of splitting and combining the properties to create two biddable parcels, and therefore he would recommend approval. In order for his office to recommend final approval, the applicant will have to submit a consolidation and lot split plat prepared by a state of Ohio registered surveyor. And then Mr. Cheney's office will check the plat to ensure that it meets all city and county standards. And once it meets all standards, the plat can then be reported to the county. However, the house must be demolished before the property is split and consolidated to avoid the situation where the house is straddling across the property line, which would not be in compliance with local ordinance. So that said, Mr. Sonstein, I see you're on the call. Do you have anything to say with regard to the applicant's application?
No, everything was all set with that. I did talk to Jim at one point. He was good with it. And they do need to have a plan that they are, as they do, going to put up a house before they tear the house down.
Yes. I do see there are plans here for one house. I understand there are two So, but we only have the one house before us at this time. Is that correct?
No, we're planning to build both right away. We're gonna be one is gonna be basically modification of the first one just to make them not look alike. But the floor plan will stand pretty much.
The floor plan's the same on both?
Yes.
Okay,
We're planning to modify elevation just not to make them look exactly the same.
well, that's good.
Those kind of things that we more or less usually do.
Mhm.
But we're definitely planning to build both of them right away. We're not going to be any artificial delays or anything.
Okay. Okay. All right. Any questions for the applicant by the board?
Yeah, I have Your Honor.
Yes, Mr. Fine.
Yeah, I'm a little confused because there's no map as to showing the property and the property lines and where the houses are gonna be relative to one another and the property line. The property itself, and I'm looking, because there was no map provided, I'm looking on Google Maps and I'm looking at the space.
Mhm.
And, you know, I'm comparing to this picture, which I think is this supposed to be a rendering of what the house is going to look like.
Correct.
So I just can't imagine that you're going to put two houses of this size on this lot. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Can I answer? So this rendering is just the picture of how the elevation will look like. So in fact, we have available footprint on the lot A about 1,600 square feet, and for the lot B a little bit more than that, 1,700 square feet. So which makes these houses probably maximum size of the houses, including first and second floor. For the first lot is 2,800 square feet, and for the second lot, a little bit more than that. So we're not going to build a house this large as you see in the picture. It's going to be shrinked a few feet to accommodate city requirements and zoning requirements for the both lots.
So what was the point of submitting the picture of something you're not going to build? And I'm having trouble figuring out how I'm going to vote in favor when the picture, the rendering, doesn't fit the lot, and there are no maps as to what this is going to look like after the lot split and where the houses are going to be. What's going to happen with the trees? What's going to happen between this and the neighbors? I'm not, if someone can explain this to me, then maybe I could vote in favor of it, but with the information we've presented, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Yes, if I may, my understanding that the question that you're raising basically would be answered with the next stage. We're looking for basically approval on this project as of a split. And next step is to actually finalize design of the house, place it, and get final approval. But right now we're looking for two things: get agreement on demolition and a split, because this is a pretty long process, split by itself. Our surveyor have to create the actual plot plan and in order to be recorded. So that is something that we are working on. But my understanding, kind of preliminary approval or actual approval by the city in order to go ahead and with this project. So correct me if I'm wrong.
Mr. Mayor, can I have a follow-up question?
Please do.
My question is really for Luke. Can you explain to us what we're supposed to, from a legal perspective, what we're supposed to be reviewing here and what we're being asked to approve?
Well, the agenda items are correct. You're asked to be approving a demolition, which I'll speak to in a moment, and then also essentially a
I'm
lot
just one of the
combination
things,
split.
whoever has the dog in the background, if they could mute their phone, because all I hear is the dog.
So there's a demolition, Michael, and then also the lot combination and split. And I don't know if other members received the preliminary combination and lot split drawing.
Get this?
Yeah, the mayor is holding that up. Michael, did you get a copy of that? That shows the that shows a depiction of what the lots would look like post split with the square foot footprints of each home.
I didn't get that. That wasn't part of the package that was delivered.
Kelly, you didn't include this?
Is
in-
it on what was sent out over the internet?
It was
It
also on,
was sent out both.
it's on my email too, so I just happen to have one printed that Kelly had.
It goes-
Because I was only looking at the stuff that was delivered by the police department, so I didn't look at the email. Hold on a second. I'll look at the email. and get
Well,
that.
it's a pause for a minute.
Yeah.
Do you have access? to
Part
it?
of,
Michael?
oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Good part of, I'm looking at the county record and seeing the kind of before picture of the parcels where they're almost stacked horizontally. And so my understanding that we're taking those parcels that are here and here, combining them, but then re-splitting them vertically so that they each have some face to the sidewalk in the street. So maybe it's just because we're missing that kind of before picture that is causing some confusion.
Yeah, I think it's because there's no before picture. For instance, if you go onto Google Maps, you can see the house that's presently there. And the lot itself is wider than the other lots on Groveland. And it's wide enough that it could be split into two lots, which I understand is what Domus is intending to do here. They've purchased this house with the intention to demolish it, divide this into two lots, and then build a house on each lot.
And one of the issues that we face, Michael, whenever we are looking at these demolition requests is that our code 1242-14 outlines 4 different possible scenarios where a demolition permit can be issued. And one of the scenarios is that a development plan has been approved by Planning Commission and City Council for a replacement building on the same parcel. And so, I think the way, so anyway, Planning Commission would want to, make sure that the plan is to have replacement parcels, I think, on both lots. And one of the ways to control that would be through the method of a development agreement. And we've worked with Domus on one other occasion in finalizing a development agreement, which provides the city with some protections and causes them to have to have a bond that's placed and that can be attached or utilized by the city if the structures aren't developed, but also can contain terms and conditions that Planning Commission deems appropriate, for review by the building department and all of those kinds of things.
Thank you. And part of my concern was answered by this picture that I'm looking at that was sent out with the email. I apologize. I didn't see this before. I was just looking at the stuff that was delivered to me physically, and this the combination lot split was not included in that. Are there going to have to be any variances in terms of how far the houses are from each other and separation from the property line?
No.
I don't believe so. I would defer to Howard on that, but I think their plan as presented would not require, once they obtained the split, they would have 2 buildable lots, and then depiction that's shown is not, would not require variances.
What they're showing right now, the law director is correct on that. And they would actually have to have a certified survey before they, when they submit the house plans.
It's a lot clearer now. Thank you.
Very good. Very
Well,
good.
if I may weigh in, I have a little bit of angst on this project. First off, the material that's been provided in the packet shows, you know, what the new parcels will look like. And I don't have enough information here. I did go on the county website and found how the lots were drawn, and Ms. Urban was correct. And there's a property in the north and one to the south. And that's how it was split before. That was a little confusing. But what I'm looking at here, what I want to look at here is a site plan of what you're proposing. For me to vote to demo a house and consolidate properties, I need more information. I'd like to see, what are you proposing? You gave us a marketing packet of a typical house that you would build here, but it sounds like this isn't the house because you're shrinking it down, and apparently you're building two houses. So what does the other house look like? I'd like to see on a site plan, you know, how this is all going to shake out, and I don't have that information in front of me. Now, I'm familiar with this house that's on the property now, and this is why I have a little bit of angst on this. It's actually an old farmhouse, and it was built in 1890. I had to look it up online. I was built in 1890, and it's one of the oldest houses in University Heights. We have very, very few farmhouses. In fact, it used to face South Green Road. That's why the house looks awkward from the Groveland. It's actually the side of the house, and the front of the house is on the side. It used to face South Green Road. So it's actually a very old home. I hate to see it go. That's just my opinion, that I would hate to see this house go. I don't support the demolition of that. But for me to review, to approve a lot consolidation, I need more information than was provided.
All right. Are you making a motion, Mr. Rock?
Mayor Brennan,
Yeah.
this is Joyce Prasad. I own the property directly across the street from there. I'm at 4502 Groveland. So I did want to join the meeting. Obviously, you know, concerned about, you know, trying to understand what the timeline would be for the demolition, the impact on the houses that are adjacent to or mine exactly across, and then to understand what is the plan for the rebuild. And some of that was answered a little bit, but I do want you to hear that I would like to be informed and understand what's going to happen with that property.
Okay, no, I appreciate that, Ms. Prasad. Thank you for being here. And yes, you ought to be able to know what's going on across the street and have a sense of the timing and what kind of disruption it will be on your street.
Thank you.
Welcome. So we've heard from Mr. Rock that he would like some additional information. Could we elaborate on what we would like to see from the applicants? Yeah,
Well, for me to review a lot consolidation and lot split, because we're gonna have to do those both, and for me to review a house demolition, I want to see what the plan is for the new home. What does the new home look like? What does it look like on the site? You show us, there's not even a site plan. It's really just a boundary and property plan here that indicates what the setbacks are going to be, but I don't know how these houses are engaged with the site. So those are things that I would need to review, and actual house plans. This looks like it's a beautiful home, and I hope that's the house that's getting built. But from what I understand from the builder, this isn't the house that's getting built. It's going to be something that's smaller. It's hard to do a smaller home with 6 bedrooms, which is what you're proposing here. So I don't know how that's going to work. So I'm not convinced this is the home. And is it 2 of these identical homes? I mean, I don't know, but also, I don't know if I want you wasting so much time on architectural plans when I don't support the demolition of this farmhouse. So I don't know how I feel about that. I'm just not comfortable with that demolition.
All right, I understand. Okay, well, I think I would like to see, you know, I have to consider as well, Mr. Rock, you know, the historic aspect of the, you know, the existing home on the property and what, you know, whether and to what extent it has significance and weigh that. But even if I were over that hurdle, I agree. I would want to see what the second house looks like next to this first house. I would want to see a conceptual drawing of what both houses look like together next to the houses that are already there, and have a better sense of how it would look in the overall on the actual site. And I think we would need to see more detail as far as that goes. I wouldn't want to see two identical houses side by side on a street like that. That's not really characteristic of our neighborhood. And that's something I think that could be worked around easily enough. But I would want to see, and I know that ARB will take care of that to a point, but I would also want to see what both of the houses will look like. One, and it doesn't look like they're going to be the same because the square footage is different on them per the drawings. So they're obviously not going to be completely identical, but I don't know which one this one is supposed to be and whether it doesn't sound like this is necessarily even what we're getting there. So I would want more information too.
Exactly, and the fact that for me to vote to demolish a home that was built in the 1800s, that's going to be a tough pill for me to swallow because I'm sensitive to historic preservation. I'd love to see this house become something else. It made me stop, and there's a lot of character to these old homes, and very few in this area. I mean, there's a couple in Shaker Heights, there's some in Cleveland Heights. I don't see very many. I think there's one on Sills. There's not very many of these old farmhouses, but for me to vote on something like that, I need to be wowed about what is the potential for these two new properties. So I'd love to have two new families in University Heights, because that's better than one family living in this house. To have two families, and that would be great for the city, but I really need to be wowed on what these two houses are going to look like for me to vote to remove this old home.
Thank you.
Any other thoughts on this, Mrs. Urban, Mr. Fine?
I just agree that it'd be nice to see a site plan. Make sure that the buildings feel consistent with the rest of the street. I just took a quick look at the rest of the street, and it's super diverse in its architecture. So it seems like that wouldn't be too difficult or too much to ask. I do love the house that you sent us with a mud room, very handy, but it'd be nice to be certain before demolishing a house that we're confident in what's replacing it.
It's from my perspective, I appreciate what Mr. Rock's comments about historic homes. I have a hard time envisioning this house as a farmhouse, and it doesn't strike me as really something that needs
Preserved?
a whole lot of preservation. But I was surprised, as I stated originally, that the pictures didn't seem to fit with the property. So it would be nice to see a proper site plan that shows how the properties, what you're planning to do on the lot is actually what's going to be done on the lot, and to see those details. So I would agree with the other planning members that I think that there should be more detail. I'm less concerned, though, than some of the other members with respect to the need to preserve what's there, as long as what's being presented is a more accurate reflection of what's going to happen.
In a building project, we would typically see site plan and elevations.
Right, absolutely. So thank you so much for your comments and for your time to accommodating our request. We're going to provide more detailed information about what we're going to build. We just never been told that it's necessary for preliminary approval of the split, but now it's clear for us. So the houses would look very similar to what you see. It was just narrow to accommodate all city requirements and without any variances. And we're going to provide this information for the next meeting.
Okay, very good. Well, then it would seem that the thing to do would be to table this agenda item and then consider and table the next agenda item probably. But we'll start with this. I will move to table to the next meeting, the recommendation to City Council for demolition of the house located at 4499 Groveland Road. Is there a second?
I'll second the table.
Okay, second by, any discussion? Seeing none, Mrs. Thomas, will you call the roll?
Mayor Brennan,
Yes.
Mrs. Urban,
Yes.
Mr. Fine,
Yes.
Mr. Rock.
Yes.
All right, that item is tabled. Okay, that brings us into letter B, recommendation to City Council for the lot split 721-41-007, two separate parcels, 4499 Groveland Road. I think I would also suggest that this be tabled at this juncture pending supplementation of the application and reconsideration then of the first item that has also been tabled. So I'm going to go ahead then and move to that we table this agenda item, item B, recommendation to City Council for the lot split parcels 721-14-007/08 into two separate parcels at 4499 Groveland Road. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Rock. Any discussion? All right, seeing none. Mrs. Thomas, will you call the roll?
Mayor Brennan,
Yes.
Mrs. Urban,
Yes.
Mr. Fine,
Yes.
Mr. Rock.
Yes.
Very good. That item is tabled. Gentlemen, we look forward to seeing your supplement to these items, and we will, of course, then consider them at the next meeting after which we have received them.
Thank you, Mayor. Mhm, thank you.
Thank you.
Seeing then that the only thing remaining that would be a motion to adjourn. Is there a motion?
Mayor Brennan,
Oh,
I'm sorry, it's Joyce Prasad again. Can you make sure I get the next meeting notice? So I'll have the ID and information to log in.
very good. Yes, Mrs. Thomas, we make sure that that Ms. Prasad has that, please.
Yes.
Do you have a
Thank
copy?
you. Mhm.
All right, very good. Then with that being noted, did we have a motion to adjourn? Was that Mr.
No.
Rock? No, we didn't. I'll move to adjourn. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Rock. Any discussion? Seeing none, Mrs. Thomas, will you call the roll?
Mayor Brennan,
Yes.
Mrs. Urban,
Yes.
Mr. Fine,
Yes.
Mr. Rock.
Yes.
Very good. We are adjourned. Thank you very much. Have a good night. Be well, stay safe. It's COVID world out there, man.
Thank you.
Have a happy birthday, John. Thanks for joining us.
Happy birthday, John.
Happy birthday.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.